Please help. I've been trying to solve this question for 2 hours and the solutions I found were wrong. Well, let me see if I can help you. Here we have 2 sine x minus 2 square root of 3 cosine x plus square root of 3 tangent x and then minus 3 is equal to 0. Yes, this is the hard one. I just struggled a little bit in order to solve it. So the first thing that you may want to do is factor stuff. And maybe you want to factor out a 2 and then maybe somehow with a square root of 3. But let me tell you, it wouldn't work, alright? The key is, first, write tangent x as sine x over cosine x, and then pair that up with this right here. So let me show you what I mean by that. This right here stays, we have 2 sine x, but for this right here, let's put it right here. So we have plus square root of 3, and let's write tangent x as sine x over cosine x. Because this way we get to factor out the sine x, which is very nice. And let's see, if we factor that out, we will have the sine x on the outside, and then we have this 2 plus square root of 3 over cosine of x. So that's this and that together. Now, in order to continue factor, we will have to see if this and that together can somehow give us this term. Keep that in mind. So this is factoring by grouping. Alright, let me write this down right here. So we have minus 2 square root of 3 cosine x, and then this right here is minus 3, and that's equal to 0. Can we somehow factor stuff up, and then the remaining part is that as well? Yes, that's the key. Firstly, this right here is square root of 3. But we also have square root of 3 right here, because 3 is the same as square root of 3 times square root of 3. So we can factor out square root of 3. And because both of them are negative, so that's also factor out the negative as well. So we have negative square root of 3 right here. Okay, but you see that we want to have a cosine x on the bottom. Well, I'm also going to factor out this cosine x. Let me put that down. And now let's see, what do we have left? From here, I took out a negative, I took out the square root of 3, I took out the cosine x, so we just have the 2 left. Next, originally it was negative, but we took that out already, so it becomes positive. We can just think about division. This divided by that is positive. And then we took out one of the square root of 3, so we have square root of 3 right here. Originally it didn't have cosine x, but somehow I took it out. Again, just think about it as dividing. So right here inside, we actually have square root of 3 divided by cosine x. This and that, they match. So we can continue. So that is the hardest part. And of course, you can double check. If you distribute it, you will see that we get that back. So all the factoring is correct. Alright, and then of course, because this and that are the same, we can just factor that out. So put that down first. 2 plus square root of 3 over cosine x, and then this and that. So we have sine x minus square root of 3 cosine x. And that will give us 0. So do the usual business. Because this times that is equal to 0, that means the first factor has to be equal to 0, or the second factor has to be equal to 0. So from here, 2 plus square root of 3 over cosine x equal to 0. Let's focus on this first, yeah? Move this to the other side, so we have square root of 3 over cosine x equals negative 2. Multiply cosine x on both sides, and then divide the negative 2 on both sides. So we get negative square root of 3 over 2 equals cosine x. So keep this in mind. From here, we need to have sine x minus square root of 3 times cosine x equal to 0. Let me bring this to the other side. So we get sine x equals positive square root of 3 times cosine x. And then let's divide both sides by cosine x, because this way we can just look at this as tangent x. And we must have tangent x equals this, and that is just square root of 3. So now we have two equations to solve. This is the first one, and that is the second one. By the way, I forgot to mention, we are only looking for the solution when x is between of 0 and 2 pi. But anyway, this one first. Cosine of x is equal to negative square root of 3 over 2. I know it's on my shirt, but let's actually do the math. Let's use the reference triangle method. Cosine is the same as x over r. This x and our x are different. This x is when we are drawing the reference triangle. Take x to be negative square root of 3, meaning you go to the left, and that's negative square root of 3. R always positive, and that will be 2 like this. And we can form our reference triangle, and notice this right here will be 1, negative square root of 3, and 2. Special right triangle with the angle here being 30 degrees, which is the same as pi over 6. And when we are answering this question, remember we have to measure the angle from here to here. The whole thing is pi, and that is pi over 6. So we just have to do pi minus pi over 6, and that will give us 5 pi over 6 for the first answer. But we can also draw the triangle in the third quadrant. So have a look. Here, we still have negative square root of 3 for the x value. And go down, that's negative 1, because that will give us the r right here being 2. This right here is still pi over 6. Again, it's just a reference angle. And to answer the question, we measure the angle from here to the terminal side here. From here to here is pi. This time we will have to add pi over 6. So just get the common denominator, we will get 7 pi over 6. And these are the only two solutions on this interval. Now, for tangent x equals square root of 3, let's first write square root of 3 as square root of 3 over 1. And remember, tangent is the same as y over x, the opposite over adjacent. So here's the first reference triangle that we can possibly have. Here is square root of 3, and then the 1 is right here, like this. Y over x, both being positive. Remember though, x and y could be negative. That's for the next reference triangle. But anyway, this right here will be 2. And again, this is going to be a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle with this angle being 60 degrees because this side is square root of 3. So that will be pi over 3. And in fact, that's the answer because that's exactly how we measure the angle, right? Perfect. So next, let's see if we want to draw another reference triangle, we will negate both of them. Negative square root of 3 over negative 1. This is y, this is x. So I will just put it down right here. Y is negative square root of 3, so maybe, let me put down the x first. X is negative 1 like this, and then y is negative square root of 3 like this, and r is always positive like that. This angle is the same as that, which is pi over 3, but we have to measure the angle from here to here to answer the question. This to this is pi, and then we just have to add pi over 3, get the common denominator, we will get 4 pi over 3. Ta-da! These are the 4 answers for this equation. So finally, I will just write this down for you. The answers are x equals starting from 5 pi over 6 to 7 pi over 6, and then this one right here, pi over 3, and then the last one, 4 pi over 3. That is it. Hopefully this helps.